Hi everyone. Thank you for joining today's 30 on Thursday. Okay, the topic today is 20 ways to power up your BI with Datazen. And our 30 on Thursday series is a bi-weekly 30-minute webinar series. The next one is August 27th, and the topic is the top 5 tips for achieving user adoption of SharePoint. Today's session is being recorded. You can also view an archive of past sessions at sharepoint.protiviti.com/archived webinars. If you have any questions today, please feel free to use the question window or tweet us your questions after the webinar using @ProtivitiSP with the hashtag 30TDatazen. Again, the topic today is 20 ways to power up your BI with Datazen. And our presenter is Peter Serzo with Protiviti. He's a solution architect here. And I am Angela Grant, and I'll be moderating today. So let's get started. I'll go ahead and turn presenter rights over to Peter.
Thank you, Angela.
Okay, give me just a second here.
Okay, everyone. My screen should be sharing in a moment.
Yep, looking good.
Okay, great. Thank you, Angela. All right, talk about Datazen. This is Microsoft's new product. I'm actually doing a project with it right now, and I just wanted to share 20 tips, things I found about this product that make it compelling and why I chose it for this project, excuse me. And so 20 things, we're going to fly through them. I do have Datazen loaded. I can show you some things about it, and then if we even have time for questions, we'll go from there. So let me just start. I'm going to bang away at it. The first thing about Datazen, it is mobile BI. Granted, I'm showing a screenshot right now of Datazen enabled in the phone, and you can see it's in the phone. It can work in a tablet. It can work on your desktop. So it works on your smart devices. I'm using it on my smart devices to do demos, and it is absolutely built for mobile. And the nice thing about it being built for mobile, it is quick. The other thing about Datazen, it is mobile, but it is a analytic tool. So that separates it from Power BI, which is a data discovery analytic tool, right? You're probably wondering, well, why did Microsoft buy Datazen? Well, one, the mobility comes out of the box fairly quick with it, but it is for looking at analytics and using touch. So I have the Publisher app, and you can see it says Publisher here, and I'll speak more about that in a moment. And you can see if I load a dashboard that it is, a lot of things are big on here, right? But it also shows well in the phone, and so you have the ability to really use your finger and move and touch these items, and then have other items display. So that's a nice component about the mobility. And if we just take a look at edit my dashboard, here you can see if I drop this panel down that I start with the master view, and on that I put all my components. And when I click on tablet, you can see it shows me a tablet view, and very quickly I can create a phone view. And now you can see that building a mobile, responsive, touch-enabled dashboard you can do very quick. So for instance, I took off this component, and now if we go to my tablet view, you can see that component is not there because I took it off. I could absolutely put it back on, but for the time being, let's go back to home and go on to the next item. The next thing about why I liked it, well, this is a great one. It's free. And any version of 2008 SQL Server and above, you have this for free. And you can see you must have the enterprise version and you must have software assurance. So those are the two limiting factors, but I can tell you firsthand that you can, even if you don't have the enterprise version and software assurance, while you might not be able to publish it and use it like you want to, you can still work with the tool, get it ready so that you can get buy-in from your leadership. But again, the biggest thing about this, it is free. And right now I have it up to 2014. In 2016, Datazen is going to be built into the product itself. So that's why that doesn't show. The next thing about this is you have this publisher app. Now I'm running Windows 8.1, and this publisher app only works with version 8.1, and this was the app that I was showing you here, and this is it. This gives you the ability to publish your dashboards and create dashboards, and you can see here it shows me where I'm actually connected. So this is my local worker folder. This one's an Azure instance. You can see this is demos at Datazen. They give you a rich, when you download this publisher app, you have all these items that you can then go and look at. And you can see you can segment your data very well with the publisher app. But it enables you to publish it to the server and then consume it via your phone, tablet, and what have you. Datazen also comes with a server component, and you can see in this simple screenshot that we have a control panel, and you can see branding, email templates, authentication, and you can see the server connections that you can create. And so if we actually go over, this is my real server component, and right now I don't have it connected to any AD. I'm just running this again off this is running for my Azure instance. I created an endpoint that I can tie into, but I've got users, and then we'll talk a little bit about hubs a little bit later. So the server component is nice for you to create other items that we're going to talk about, but I really like that about the tool, that it did have this server component and the ability to connect to multiple servers. Again, this is just a little item about the server component. The server component, as you saw, has a URL to the endpoint, which is running in Azure, and I don't want you to get that confused with the publisher app, which is an app that you download from the store. Again, it only today works in Windows 8, and there is a Windows 7 publisher app. I don't know if this runs in Windows 10, as my PC is not updated to that. But the other items, there are viewer apps, which you can pull from Google, so I have it on my Android phone. A peer of mine has it working on his Apple phone. And, of course, there's a Windows viewer app. So those are the apps. When you actually go and create your new dashboard, you have the ability to use a template, an existing dashboard, or start from scratch. And this is nice because when you're actually going to create, and you can see here, it's a simple create. I can pick from an existing dashboard, and you can see I can pick from any of these dashboards and start from there. And there's a lot of different types of dashboards as you take a look even as you can see what I have here. So I can start with even any of the Datazen dashboards that are loaded on their server and start to prototype from there. Datazen has a mantra that is design first and then go through and add the data. We'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. So I love those data dashboard templates. Datazen helps you to design. Visuals always render in the space appropriate. So let's take a look at that and understand a little more about what that means. And I'll load up this dashboard here that I have. And if I go and edit it, you can see that when I say it helps you design, I have grid rows and I have grid columns and a certain amount of space, and it's going to be dictated by the type of device. So if I reduce my grid lines, it won't let me because it's helping me to design. It says I've got too many items. So I would have to come in here, maybe delete this, excuse me, possibly delete this, and I could cut this. Well, let's leave that and let's see if we can fool with this at all. No. So it's helping me to design and allowing me to move my items. You can see here that I have this item, so if I want to make this a little smaller, you can see it re-renders the data for me. If I take this, I move this a little smaller. Now if I try and change my columns, you can see I can go down by one. And you can see what it does with the data. So it's helping me to design. If I go and take a component and put it on here, let's say I take this component, cylinder 1, put it on here, it's going to move toward the grid and then expand as such. So we can call this someone like myself who's more of, I'm the make it go guy, rather than I'm the graphical designer guy. This takes that component out of it for me so that I can quickly prototype a responsive dashboard with BI, with mobility for my customers. So granted, I'm skewing it when I say that, but I think that's okay, right? Because everything has a plus and a minus, and it's depending on your perspective and who you are and what you're doing. So love that component about it. Parameters. So what I mean by this is you can create a drill through target, and you can target one of these items, a dashboard, a custom URL. So if we go back into here and I go back and I edit my dashboard, I can right click on the component that I want to create a drill through for. So let's say we have this gauge and I want to create a drill through for it. All I did was click on the gauge and we come down here and we can see there is no drill through on it. Why do I know that? Because it would say remove drill through if it was here. But so I can choose either a dashboard or a custom URL, and this is really powerful because a lot of us have other applications that we might want to surface when we click on this gauge. Possibly this goes to a SharePoint list. Maybe it goes to a graphic that's on a public website somewhere. It can go anywhere. And again, you can pass parameters through with it. And so if your other targeted application can take those parameters and use them, now you have a really powerful tool to use. So I do know that from a Microsoft perspective that they're looking at taking this Datazen product and having it maybe possibly surface SSRS reports, right? And you can do that, again, with using parameters. So very, very poignant. All right, next item. It generates sample data. If I don't know anything about my data, but I have an idea of what I want my dashboard to look like, because the data might be being worked on in a separate phase or parallel, I don't have to worry about that. Datazen actually generates data, and that's what you can see here. So you can see that this dashboard comprises of several worksheets, And this is where that data is coming from. Not only that, I could add data to it if I want. And you can see here I can add it from my local Excel, so that if I'm prototyping a dashboard, I can pull that in, or I can add it from a source. And you can see there's SharePoint, there's SQL, it could be our SSAS analysis server component. So the fact that it does have this data in there really helps when you're trying to prototype, because over here you have your navigators, your gauges, your charts, and you can see, and let's just kill something here. We'll take this out, and let's say we want this totals chart in here, and we don't have to worry about having the data. It's automatically going to render an object with some fake data. Now that helps again for display first, design first, and then adding the data in later. Nice component with that. All right, we're halfway through custom branding. The thing about this is, as you can see, this dashboard here, and let's pop out of this view and go back to the dashboard as a whole and take a look at it. When we actually look at the dashboard, I'll click on the My Dashboard again, which is just a copy of one of the other dashboards. This whole item, object, if you will, has a branding, right? It has a blue color. You can see there's some gradients here. It's showing all. These have branding associated, a darker blue. And you can tell if we just take a look at some of the other dashboards, you can see how different it is. Now, your company may have a type of branding, right? Maybe you want your company name in there, and your company name will show up here at the upper left-hand side. Well, you can have that. And you want a certain color schema because that's what fits your company. You can have that also. So branding that you can even add it is a integral piece of this. And you can see here that I'm in the administrative component, that you can add branding, and again I'm under branding, and you can see there's the server as a whole, and we'll talk about hubs in a moment, but you can add branding at a granular level, so we'll talk more about that in a moment, but that's a nice item. All right, 11, you decide on the layout look, and what I mean by that is, let's go back to our Datazen, and let's bring up again my favorite, My Dashboards, and we'll edit that, right? This is the look here right now, but you have the ability to come in here and actually change the look, and you saw me do that, right? I took out a column. I can arrange components in here, so I can cut components, I can copy components, I can move them around in this dashboard. I could have the two gauges up over here. So you decide on the look. And then what I further mean by that is that's the master look. Your tablet look may look a bit different. Maybe you don't want this in your tablet look, right? Because maybe the tablets that are being used are the Samsung 7-inch tablets that are just a bit more tight of a squeeze of space. So maybe you just have these 4 components. And then when you take a look at phone, you can see phone renders, and I probably maybe wouldn't even want this kind of line items in there for the phone, right? I might just have these 4 items nice and big so that my folks can click on them and have the ability to use their finger on these items. As they are, they might be a tad small. So again, that's what I mean by you can change the look. Color coding targets. So you can see here I've created a LeBron playoff scoring, but I did this to create a KPI. And when you create the KPI, you can see here that you can create a type of banding in here, and you can set the range for this banding for your KPI, and you have these colors already in there for your banding so that you can show red, yellow, green. And you can tell looking at the charts that everything here has a type of banding on this, and that absolutely can be set so that you're not stuck with a particular or trapped by a particular type of metric. You can define your own metric and brand and create a banding for that. So you can see here if we have a type of funnel Maybe we want to create the banding of red, yellow, green. You can see here United States picture. This is claims by state. You can see how that works. It's a nice item. It's you set the ranges, and then your users can use that immediately. So that's very powerful. By the way, Power BI just got that ability too, just a couple weeks ago. Conversations. So all systems today really want to be social, right? And so this system itself is social. Now I'm going to click on a metric, and when I click on that metric, I can see conversations about that metric. Now granted, I'm doing this in my desktop, but it works the same in my viewer app. Right, so I can see who's talking about this metric, what they're saying, and when they've said it. If we're talking about a dashboard, and let's go to my dashboards and render it, you can talk about the dashboard at a holistic level, right? The whole dashboard itself. And where that occurs is there's an activity, and this one's not published, so let me go back and go to one of these. There's an activity button right here, and you can see information that's being said about your, in this case, store category analysis. Excuse me. And again, this is done at a overall dashboard level. And you saw before that previously that we could do it at a KPI level. When you download the viewer app and take a look at it, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. You'll see KPIs, my dashboards. But that's the social component that's built into this. Custom shapes. So we're not stuck with the shapes that are given us by Datazen. You can see there's a lot of different shapes, even to the point of, and I love this example, that we can create our own shapes. And what these are Esri shapes. They're a DBF. For those a little more technical, it's a DBF and a shapefile that comprise this item. And the DBF is a database structure. Excuse me. And the shapefile is actually the shape of the file. But you can see here that I'm using a plane. It's not all just geographic information. Right? So it really expands your mindset when you think of that. I mean, even to the point of we have a type of tree form here. We have the United States. We have international countries, excuse me. So you can see there's a lot of different shapes that you can use, and you can create your own and utilize those. Now, it wouldn't be touch if it didn't have some kind of visualization for touching. And what I mean by that is if we take a look at a dashboard, there is a queue in Datazen that says, hey, you can drill down into this dashboard. And that queue is just this little item here. So when you set up a drill through on the edit page that I showed you, you can then touch and drill through this object and get to the object below, which will have further information about this. And you can see here, and granted it is big on my screen, but trust me, I've played with this on my phone, and it's really quite simple to use your hand or your finger and to click on an item and get information about it. And again, you can still see there's another drill through here. So it has that ability with the drill through that you can see the touch icon visualization that there's a drill through. What I love about the Publisher app is you don't need the server. You can actually create information locally from local Excel documents, save it, and then decide to publish it to the server. So with the Publisher app, you can download this today and start using it. There's nothing to stop you. You don't have to worry, oh, Peter said I need to add, some kind of server and I got to load that on. No, with the Publisher app, you get the ability to start creating immediately. So I really highly suggest that you look on Microsoft.com, type in Datazen, you'll get the download. Actually, that's for the server component. This, you would go into the Windows Store and look up Datazen, and you would get this Publisher app. You look for the Publisher app. On your phone, you would load the Viewer app. So Don't want you to get those too confused. But you can start doing that today. Very, very efficient. Datazen Hubs, it wouldn't be a good talk without just at least mention what Datazen Hubs are. So if I come over here, you can see that I have a drop-down which shows me all my hubs. And what hubs are, they're really tenants. They're the ability to set up tenants and segment my data, my branding. So I promised I would get back to that. You can see here that I can load branding per hub so that as I have different items, I can create KPIs per my hub. As you can see here, I won't read through all these, but so even at a user level, they can participate, again, to a particular hub, which is again, a URL that you'll be setting up. But you can see that I have certain dashboards that are set up via my hub. I can set up multiple groups. So really, the hubs are key to segmentation of data, granular permissions. That's where the conversation starts. Refresh rates. You have the ability, you can see here, to actually say when you create a data source, and that's why I have a screenshot of it, create a data source. In this case, it's an Excel document on network share. You tell where it is, and then you tell it how often you want it to refresh, and then the data will refresh at that, a minute, hours, so at that time frame. I really want to point this out because this is really key, is that you have the ability to do offline data analytics on your information. So when we come to a dashboard, if this dashboard is attached and you have the viewer app and you're on a plane somewhere and you open up your phone, you have the ability to interact with all this data. Now there is a limit, and I've forgotten temporarily what that limit is, but it downloads a pretty grand subset of data, and then you can interact with that data offline. Again, it's an analytic. I really want to stress that Datazen is an analytic program to look through your data. And then finally, I wanted to show you that you can actually create KPI tiles. Now, the one interesting thing about KPI tiles is that is not done here in the Publisher app. In the Publisher app, all you can create are dashboards. I say all, right? These KPIs here that you see here, and these single squares, are done through, through here. They're done when you download the actual application. So you'll download this application, you'll load it on your server. It's an IIS web app, and then you'll be able to hit it, but you have the ability, and you can see per hub, to actually go through and create a KPI. And you can see here is a little preview of it, some sample data, and then you can set that against the data that you have. And you can see from a visualization standpoint, you can determine what that KPI is going to look like. And that's really key to being successful, because the dashboard is important, but the KPIs actually bring it home. Right, and again, show you this so you can see that. You can see the different iterations of KPIs, red, yellow, green, a numeric value, and just get a different flavor of what they look like. And then you can drop the KPIs on your dashboard. So that's key. And with that, that is the 20 items, and I brought it in under the time frame. And with that, we're just going to get to the last couple of slides, and I'll handle the screen at this point, and then just turn it back over to Angela. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Peter. I am looking at our question window, and I see we do have a question here.
Okay, great.
All right. Let's see. Molly is asking if Datazen works with older versions of SharePoint. Specifically, will it work with SharePoint 2010?
Yes. So the thing to remember about Datazen, I didn't mention, it's an on-premise solution only. Granted, I said I'm running it in Azure, right? I spun up an instance. It's an on-premise solution. There's no in-the-cloud instance of this. So you load it, and then when you say, does it work with? Yes, it does, and it's going to work through the ability to set drill-throughs so that you can have a custom URL, and that's how it would interact with it. And it also works from a data source level. So you have the ability to use a SharePoint list, and yes, it will work with 2010.
Okay, great. I think that's our only question for now. Folks,
Okay.
if you do have any other questions, feel free to email Peter or myself, and you can also tweet us at ProtivitiSP using the hashtag 30T Datazen. And Peter Molly said thank you.
Oh, okay.
So thanks again, everyone, for joining today. Thanks, Peter, for the presentation, and we hope to catch you guys next time.